If you're a construction worker or work in a construction industry and to know more about construction industry scheme, then please watch this video. Hi, this is Gagan from One-to-One Accountants. My mission is to empower individuals and businesses with knowledge and service to help them achieve their financial goals. Today, we'll talk about construction industry scheme. The topics we will cover: what is CIS, what is contractor and subcontractor, why we need to verify a subcontractor, when to file a contractor return or monthly CIS return, how subcontractor can claim a tax refund. Let's discuss what is CIS. CIS means construction industry scheme. Any business or individual working in construction industry as a contractor or a subcontractor need to abide by construction industry scheme laws. So the whole idea of this scheme is that HMRC wants a contractor to withhold a tax from a subcontractor and pay to HMRC. Let's understand what is contractor and subcontractor. A contractor is a person who gives or takes services of a subcontractor. So for example, a builder will be a contractor if he is taking a services of a subcontractor like electrician, plumber, decorator, skimmer, roofer. So these will all become a subcontractor if they're giving a services to a contractor. A contractor always receives the services from a subcontractor, and a subcontractor gives services to the contractor. Now, why we need to verify a subcontractor? So basically, HMRC wants that contractor should register first as a contractor with HMRC before he employs a subcontractor. And once a contractor is registered with HMRC, before he takes services of a subcontractor, he needs to verify a subcontractor with HMRC. So subcontractor can be an individual and can be a limited company. Likewise, contractor also can be a limited company or can be an individual. Contractor needs to get a subcontractor details and verify it with HMRC. There are various ways to verify. Either you can verify through online or via telephone or calling HMRC. Once you verify, HMRC will give you a code. That's called verification code. According to that code, these three types of tax deduction or withholding tax need to be deducted by a contractor. So on the verification with HMRC, if HMRC gives a code and that code represents a 30% deduction, that means that subcontractor is not verifiable and a contractor need to withhold 30% tax from his labor amount from the total invoice. Only tax is deductible on the labor element, not on the material element. For example, if an electrician, subcontractor electrician, given a quote of £10,000 to a builder, a contractor, to do a certain work, and the component of the 10,000 is that 6,000 is labor and 4,000 is material, only on the 6,000 labor amount contractor can withhold a tax as per the verification code. If codes come 30%, then contractor has to deduct 30% from the labor amount. If the verification code is 20%, then contractor has to deduct 20%. And if the subcontractor is on gross status, then contractor has to deduct 0% from the labor amount. Now let's understand why there are three different codes. So if subcontractor is working as a subcontractor, then he need to tell HMRC or inform HMRC that he is working under a construction industry scheme. Then HMRC will make a note of this within their system. When contractor tries to verify with HMRC, that will come as a verifiable subcontractor and HMRC gives a 20% code. But if subcontractor has not done this, then in HMRC's list, that subcontractor is not a person or an individual or a business who is working under construction industry scheme. In that case, HMRC will give a 30% code. If a subcontractor has worked certain times into the business under this construction industry schemes and his taxes are up to date, then he can also apply for a gross status. And there are certain conditions which need to be met before a subcontractor can apply for a gross status. And if HMRC gives him the gross status, then in that case, when contractor tries to verify a subcontractor with HMRC, and if he has a gross status, then HMRC will give him a contractor verification code, which will represent a 0% tax. So that's why it's very important to verify a subcontractor before paying, so that exact or correct amount of deduction can be made before making a payment. On the other hand, it's also very important by the subcontractor to get himself registered with HMRC, so that he can only pay 20% or 0% rather than 30% tax, or he can suffer this amount of tax. Now let's talk about when contractor deducts a tax or a withholding tax from subcontractor payment, then he also have some responsibilities. He need to inform that deduction through a return called monthly CIS 300 return. So that monthly return runs from a 6th of every month to the 5th of the following month. So for example, from 6th of January till 5th of February is a month, and then by 19th of the February, which is 14 days from the month end, has to be that's a deadline to file a CIS 300 monthly return. And if a contractor fails to file this return, then £100 initial penalty is payable immediately. And what's the deadline to pay the tax which he has deducted from the subcontractor payment, or which he's holding on behalf of subcontractors? He need to pay the tax by 22nd of every month. So in the example, 19th is a deadline to file the CIS return, and 22nd of February is a deadline to pay that tax. So these are very tight deadlines. So within 14 days, a contractor has to file return. If it's a nil return, still contractor need to file it and inform HMRC that in this period or in this month he has not made any payments to any subcontractor. And in this return, before he pays anyone, he need to verify his subcontractors, and all the details goes into that return. Now we'll talk about tax suffered. So whatever tax suffered by a subcontractor can be an individual, or a subcontractor can be a limited company. So if the subcontractor is an individual and tax suffered by an individual, he can claim that tax back via his self-assessment. When he does his self-assessment, whatever tax he has suffered, he can claim against his total tax bill. And if his tax bill is not that much, or if his tax bill is lower than whatever the amount of tax he has suffered, then he will get the deduction, whatever the excess amount he'll get as a refund from HMRC. Likewise, if a subcontractor is a limited company and he has suffered a deduction, in that case, limited company can also get their tax back if their total tax bill of corporation tax or any other VAT amount which is payable, and or any other taxes which are due is less than the amount suffered, then the excess will be he will get back, or whatever amount of tax he has suffered will be adjusted against his corporation tax or against his PAY or VAT, or if there's any unpaid tax outstanding with HMRC. So this is just a fair idea of how the tax suffered by a subcontractor will be adjusted or get reclaimed. I hope you understand this, how the CIS scheme works. It's very important for a client or a limited company client who works into the construction side or a building side, where they quite often take a services of a subcontractor like electrician, plumber, roofer, skimmer. So before they can pay them through the bank account, they need to register them as a contractor, and they need to verify the subcontractor before they make a payment to the subcontractor. That's very important. On the other side, HMRC also look into that the subcontractor or contractor is hiring is not a deemed employee. So it's not an employee, it's a subcontractor. So there is a different classification when a person will be or when an individual will be a subcontractor or an employee. So it's employer's duty to check that he is either an employee or a subcontractor, and before making a payment, he has to register as a contractor, and then only he can take a subcontractor services, get him verified, and then only he can pay it. You cannot pay, or a building contractor cannot pay any of the subcontractor without this scheme, and this is not acceptable by HMRC. And if HMRC finds out that you are making a payment without being registering as a contractor and without making necessary deductions from the subcontractor, then they can penalize you, and there will be severe penalties for late registering them as a contractor, or late filing of the returns. I hope you like my video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my video. Thank you.